6, 5.
He's appeared in Apple TV's The Morning Show, Hulu's The Dropout, and Amazon's upcoming show titled Daisy Jones and the Six. We are so lucky to have actor Damon Sperber join us and to share how he entered entertainment. Thank you so much for being here, Damon.
Thank you for having me, Maya. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, so you have been in some incredible shows and projects, and I know that you started on the theater stage, but let's go back even further. How did you begin your career as an actor, and what got you into the door?
So in high school, I went to high school in San Francisco, St. Ignatius High School, and there was a production at a girls' school that a good friend of mine was in, and this was probably sophomore year in high school. And he came out, and he was playing this sort of very flamboyant character, and got this really nice big laugh from the crowd. And there was just this thing in me that inspired me. It was like, I want to be able to do that to people, and I think I can do that to people, and I think I could almost do that funnier. This sort of competitive drive of like wanting to create art. And so from that moment on, I decided to audition for a play at school that next semester and got it, and sort of this career of acting started from my junior year of high school on.
Wow. So it started in high school, and then I know you went to UCLA,
Mm-hmm.
but you studied world arts, right? And then
World arts and cultures with a theater emphasis, so more of a sort of a
Okay.
world view of theater, not just a Western or United
Right.
States view. Yeah.
Nice. And then after that, you went to ACT, did your training over there.
Mm-hmm.
But what is something that you learned either, as a student during that time, or even as a professor? I know you also teach acting.
Mm-hmm.
What is something that you learned that has really helped you with your craft, but also your career, like on the business side? If you can point to maybe a few. And there's
That's a
so
big
many.
question.
I know.
So much.
Tell me one of them.
I
Anything
think
comes.
that having, however you define love for a particular art form or craft or skill is something that has to drive you, because in the world of acting, like in a lot of careers, it's a difficult path to travel, and so much of it is made up of rejection and not getting the part, and for all the auditions that you go on, 900 of them you don't get, and that one you do get. So I think that you have to really have this internal drive of passion and desire to pursue it.
Right.
And I think if you have that, then I think that to me is, and perseverance,
Yeah.
that you have to have that commitment to, this is for me, and something that there's nothing I've experienced that fills me like this. So I'm going to continue to do this until that answer, when I ask myself, is this really what I want to keep doing, comes back no. And I've never had that experience yet. So I think the passion for the process of acting and what it does for me and what it does in terms of relationship to an audience, I think is really incredible. And I've never experienced anything that has felt like a better experience for me, to
That's
send me on a
amazing.
different path.
That's amazing to feel that passion. And would you say that your passion for acting is kind of what keeps you, of course it keeps you going, because like you said, you get 100 no's before you get that one yes. Is there something, how do you deal with rejection? Like something that you've learned along the way?
Well, rejection sucks. There's no sugarcoating that.
Right.
I think that no matter what, I always want to be hired for a job. But what I learned is, and this is something you have to learn very early on when you become a professional, is that you can only control so much. And I'm not a producer, I'm not the creator. So I'm going to go into an audition, and I'm going to sort of be at their mercy in terms of whether they're going to hire me or not. But what I can control is how prepared I am for that audition.
Right.
And the quality of the work that I put into that audition, so that when I walk out of the room, I feel like no matter what happens on the other side, I gave 100%. And they got the best of Damon in that moment, and hopefully they like what they saw. But again, as you know, as an actor too, that there's so many variables that you can't control.
Right.
Like I've had a commercial where I was booked for the commercial, and the last minute the producers decided they wanted a different gender and a different ethnicity for that role. Not a lot I can do about that. But the worst feeling I've ever had is I walked out of an audition and was, I'm not going to get this job because I wasn't prepared. And that was a lesson very early on in my career, that if I want to continue to do this, I had that sort of come to Jesus moment with myself.
Yeah.
Was, if you're going to continue to do this for your life, you can't have that feeling. That's just not going to work. So I had to, early on, I was like, then I'm going to be fully prepared every time I walk into an audition.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's what I can control. And it becomes part of the work. The audition becomes acting. It's not like you're isolated and audition is not acting. You're still acting.
Right.
And so I make that little world for myself. I really take time to like wardrobe and props and those things. So I set up the audition like a scene for myself. It fills me up. Now, I still want to get the job. And it's not like walking onto set, because that's a whole different experience. And that's an experience that you just, set or stage, you can't replace that. And that's why you want to be able to kind of take that audition and go to the next level of creativity. Right. But I think that I get joy and fulfillment out of auditioning and preparing. And that sort of sustains me from that lack of opportunity if I'm not getting hired or just an audition.
That's a great outlook to have on it, and every audition it's an acting exercise in a way, preparing you for whatever that next role might be. But there's some things that you can learn in a classroom, you can with your self-tape, but there's some things that you can only learn on set. And what is something that I don't know, maybe something you wish you had learned sooner, or something that you learned while on set that you thought was helpful for you to know, maybe could be helpful for others?
I think if I could go back and talk to myself, I'm not a big person for regret, but one thing I think I would tell myself is let yourself have more joy in this process. Give yourself permission to have fun and to not look at it and strangle the life out of it because you're so filled with anxiety or fear, because I think acting really does for a lot of people, and for me it had this effect. Was I would go into some performance scenarios or things or opportunities where I felt really scared. And I think if I could go back, and I would just tell myself to be less afraid, or to just be nicer to myself, and hopefully that fear will be diminished a little bit, and let yourself sort of then just dive in and be creative and have fun. And that's one thing. I think being on set now, one thing that that attitude has adjusted for me, in that I never know when I'll be back. And I don't know if I'm going to get rehired again as an actor. It's always sort of that fear. Take this moment to really appreciate being here, and treat everybody that you are on set with, from your fellow actors to the director to the costume people to the PA, with full respect. And be gentle and kind and generous with everyone, no matter who they are on set, because this is part of the experience, and you want to walk off that set feeling really good about the whole thing. That's the thing I think that is a little bit different for me now, is that I appreciate it in a different way than I did early on in my career.
Nice. That's so. That's a great perspective to have on it. And I don't know, is there anything else, like if you could go back and tell your younger actor Damon, like, hey, remember these things, or anything else you would want to tell others who are struggling through their acting journey?
So I think that learn how to manage fear, be nicer and kinder to yourself, but that doesn't mean don't work hard, because I also think what I learned as I got older as an actor is there's no substitute for preparation. So the harder I work, the more I'll reap the benefits. It's not like I'm going to work so hard that I'm going to overwork. I don't think that exists. It's, acting is not about being rigid, but it's also about being so fully prepared that then I can sort of jump in and really play. So I would say be fully prepared, be kinder to yourself, and be committed, and really know that this journey hopefully will carry you for a lifetime. So I think you have to look at it from a big, wider angle, and just know that that journey you have to be perseverant, and you have to be committed, and you have to be joyful, and I think you will reap the benefits. One thing I would tell my students is, don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't do this. That has to come from within you. If you decide that this is something that doesn't bring you joy, then there's a million other things I would recommend than doing this, because this career path is very difficult. but extremely rewarding. So never be afraid to ask yourself the question, is this something I want to continue to do? And the moment you're afraid to ask that question, I think you have to look really hard at why. So I never want to be afraid of that question for me is, do you want to keep doing this? I mean, luckily that voice has always been really quiet and said, no, I want to keep doing this because I don't know what else. I've never found anything like acting in my life, in my experience. And it's really, you know, so that there's something, I think I also have an appreciation for acting and all the generation of actors who've come before us that keeps me really humble and grateful. And that's the thing I think I'm really appreciative of, is that I can see it from that angle now, that maybe I didn't see it before. And I appreciate things in a different way.
Oh man, thank you so much for sharing all of that. And it's very reassuring too, and a great reminder to have as you're, you know, going through each audition and everything. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah, and
Thank
I wish, you know, any aspiring young actor or any actor out there who's watching this is, you know, give yourself that permission and go out and have fun and really, you know, enjoy the process, enjoy the journey.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maya.
Good. Awesome.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank
much.